Greetings. Before I tell this story, I would ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stories like this. And now we begin our story.
Встреча с загадочным администратором Jackson Creed had always been an enigma to the night scene, but meeting him face to face beneath the dim, pulsating neon of the Velvet Mirage was a different kind of revelation. The club's heavy scent of incense and leather mingled with the low hum of bass, setting a thrilling yet dangerous tension in the air. That evening, Talia Rune, my closest confidant and a keen observer of human nature, grasped my hand tightly and whispered, "You won't believe what you're about to step into." Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and caution. Evander Lux, a longtime friend and insider of this midnight world, stood nearby with a knowing smile, hinting that tonight's encounter was anything but ordinary. Jackson, the club's administrator, moved with a magnetic confidence, his gaze sharp yet inviting. He orchestrated the chaos behind the scenes as effortlessly as a maestro conducts a symphony. Yet beneath the polished exterior, I sensed a complex man whose life danced on the edge of temptation and control. His reputation was whispered in the corridors, 6 girls a night, each entangled in fleeting moments that blurred with promises and secrets. It wasn't just about numbers. It was the rhythm of the nocturnal dance, the power of command and surrender. As I watched him interact with Callista Vane, one of the radiant girls whose grace masked a fierce independence, I glimpsed the fragile dynamics that ruled this world. The air thickened with intrigue when Celine Voss appeared, a figure wrapped in silk and shadows. As Jackson's implicit rival, her presence sparked tension, like a storm gathering on the horizon of this elaborate play. She didn't just want the club, she wanted the man who held its pulse. Marcellus Quinn, Jackson's loyal assistant, moved swiftly through the crowd, deflecting challenges and maintaining order. Behind the veneer of glamour, control was the true currency here, manipulated through whispered deals and silent threats. I found myself caught between fascination and wariness, wondering what secrets Jackson harbored in his seemingly effortless charm. Through Talia's sharp insights, I began to unravel the complexity of Jackson's world. The night was a stage where vulnerability and power intertwined, and 6 different faces could inhabit his attention in a single evening. Yet, beneath this fluid realm of fleeting connections lay a hunger, not just for affection, but for something elusive, something more real. Evander's stories painted a backdrop rich with contradictions, sisterhoods forged in artificial light, rivalries that simmered beneath fake smiles, and unexpected alliances that could change everything. Each girl, including Callista, played her part in this nocturnal ballet, each interaction layered with unspoken understanding and fragile trust. The club owner, Dorian Slate, loomed as the silent architect of this universe. His presence was felt in every corner, from the surveillance cameras watching over the nights to the subtle nods that dictated hierarchies. Dorian's ambitions stretched far beyond mere entertainment. He treated the club like a kingdom to be ruled with cunning and precision. Jackson's role, while powerful, seemed also deeply entwined with Dorian's vision, part protector, part performer, part prisoner of a system where loyalty was as ephemeral as the night itself. Observing their interaction briefly from across the room, I understood how precarious power truly was within these walls. The sensation of stepping into Jackson's orbit was like entering a labyrinth of shadows brightened by neon and desire. Each conversation cracked open new layers, revealing a man who both commanded and craved connection. The 6 girls whispered about in club lore were not mere conquests. They were participants in a complex choreography that balanced control and surrender, illusion and truth. I sensed the weight of Jackson's burden beneath the surface, the lonely evening hours when charm had to mask fatigue and every smile concealed calculated risk. This world was as intoxicating as it was perilous, and I realized that meeting him was merely the prologue to an unfolding saga neither of us fully anticipated. Talia's voice broke through my reverie as she nudged me toward the back room where Jackson often retreated from the chaos. Her eyes, usually candid and direct, held a warning now. "You need to be careful," she said softly. "Everyone here plays a role, and not all roles are meant to survive the night." Evander chimed in with a casual grin. "But that's why it's all worth watching, right? The drama, the tension, the unpredictability. It keeps you coming back." I smiled despite my unease. drawn deeper into this unfolding story where loyalty and desire intertwined under the club's hypnotic glow. Every detail mattered, every glance held significance. As our night at Velvet Mirage rippled with new discoveries, I realized that Jackson Creed was no ordinary man. His life was a living paradox written in the shadows of neon and whispered secrets. The 6 girls who shared his nights were threads in a tapestry of longing and power, each one weaving a story of her own. Celine's looming threat and Marcellus' quiet efficiency added complexity to a plot brimming with unspoken rules. And through it all, Dorian Slate's unreachable ambitions cast a long shadow, reminding me that in this world, nothing was as simple as it seemed. The night was far from over, and I was ready to delve further into the mystery and the allure that Jackson embodied so effortlessly. With every beat of the music and each passing hour, the lines between friend and foe blurred, and the secrets whispered in the dark grew louder. Jackson's world was captivating and dangerous, a place where 6 girls might grace his presence in one night, but where hearts and loyalties were harder to count and even harder to hold. This was only the beginning, and as I prepared to uncover more layers beneath the glow of the club's lights, I knew that nothing in my life would remain unchanged. The story of Velvet Mirage and its enigmatic administrator was about to pull me deeper into a night I would never forget, where every choice mattered and every moment could redefine everything I thought possible. Tonke Gra intrigue y revnesty Jackson Creed's world had always been cloaked in shadows, but the storm brewing inside the confines of the club painted his nights with hues darker than he had ever imagined. This place, pulsing with neon lights and rhythmic beats, was more than just a playground for desires. It was a complex arena where alliances shifted like quicksilver. His own role as administrator was a delicate balancing act, juggling the demands of the enigmatic Dorian Slate and the restless ambitions of his trusted aide, Marcellus Quinn. Their partnership bore the strain of unspoken threats, for Marcellus's obsession with control often clashed with Jackson's underlying need for freedom. Selene Voss emerged from the haze like a tempest, her presence a sharp contrast to the club's sultry glow. She was a force unapologetic and unnerving, her manipulation subtle yet devastating. Despite Jackson's efforts to keep her at arm's length, Selene wove herself into every corner of his life, stirring jealousy and doubt with calculated ease. The tension they triggered was electric, saturating every interaction with an almost dangerous edge. Selene's intentions remained veiled, but her influence was unmistakable, a shadow that threatened to eclipse Jackson's fragile grasp on his world. Meanwhile, Marcellus Quinn maneuvered behind the scenes, a silent enforcer whose reach extended far beyond what most perceived. His ability to pull strings was matched only by his voracious desire to dictate the fates of those around him, including Jackson himself. The power he wielded was intoxicating, and yet it revealed the cracks in their alliance. Subtle confrontations erupted in quiet moments, layered with bitterness and unspoken accusations. Marcellus's insistence on order clashed with the unpredictable dynamics Selene introduced, pushing Jackson into uncharted territory where trust became a luxury too expensive to afford. Interwoven with this turmoil were the lives of the 6 women who shared the nights with Jackson, each one a story of survival, ambition, and secrets. Callista Vane stood out among them. Her poise and cunning set her apart in the intricate social web of the club. Callista's relationships with the others were rife with subtle competition, curiosity, and alliances that shifted with every new performance or whispered conversation. Her ability to read people made her indispensable yet dangerous, a queen in a court where loyalty was a currency frequently devalued. Every glance between Callista and Jackson was charged with unspoken meaning, blurring the lines between partnership and rivalry. Talia Rune, Jackson's closest confidant, was a beacon of unwavering support amid the chaos. Her sharp insights and emotional intelligence offered a rare haven in Jackson's tumultuous existence. Talia's steady presence was a counterbalance to the unpredictability of the club's environment and the volatile personalities that surfaced nightly. She saw through Selene's veiled threats and Marcellus's controlling tendencies, warning Jackson when the lines between friend and foe threatened to dissolve. Her advice, though sometimes harsh, was rooted in a fierce desire to protect him from the consequences that lurked beneath the club's glittering facade. Evander Lux, a charismatic figure from the nightlife circuit, added another layer to this complex tapestry. His connection to the club was both professional and deeply personal, and his friendship with Jackson was one forged through countless shared confidences in smoky back rooms. Evander's intuitive grasp of human nature and his knack for diffusing volatile situations were invaluable, yet even he was not immune to the undercurrents of tension that Selene's presence stirred, nor to the subtle power plays orchestrated by Dorian Slate, whose grip on the club remained ironclad and enigmatic. Dorian Slate, the owner, was the true puppeteer. His calm exterior masked a mind constantly calculating, evaluating every gesture, every whispered secret that crossed the club's threshold. Dorian possessed a keen understanding of desire and ambition, using them as tools to secure his dominion. His knowledge of the staff's personal lives, especially Jackson's entanglements, was vast and unsettling. Decisions about people's destinies, who thrived, who fell, were made in cold moments of contemplation. Dorian's shadow loomed over every interaction, reminding all that while the club's lights dazzled, they also obscured the brittle nature of trust and power within these walls. Amidst this chessboard of intrigue, Jackson found himself caught between fierce loyalties and shifting alliances. The nights blurred together in a haze of seduction and suspicion, each encounter layered with hidden meanings and unspoken challenges. Selene's provocations unsettled him, her motives as elusive as smoke in the air. Marcellus's relentless need to command stifled what little escape Jackson sought. Callista's watchful eyes hinted at deeper games being played far beyond the dance stages, and everywhere, Dorian's silent yet omnipresent gaze kept the tension taut. Beneath the glitter and glamour lay a battlefield of wills, where every smile concealed strategy and every whispered word might ignite a new conflict. Jackson's heart, once guarded, cracked open under the strain of this dangerous intimacy, wrestling with desire, jealousy, and the desperate hope for something real amid the chaos. The delicate balance he fought to maintain threatened to tip with every passing night as the club's secrets multiplied and the invisible lines between ally and adversary faded into shadows. The tension between these characters was not merely a clash of egos, but a raw, emotional dance where trust could be broken with a single misstep. Jackson's relationships, complex and flawed, mirrored the turbulent environment of the club itself, alluring, perilous, and unpredictable. As the pressure mounted, the interwoven destinies of Jackson, Selene, Marcellus, Callista, and the others moved inexorably toward an uncertain turning point. The night whispered promises of revelation and reckoning, where choices made in secrecy would reshape the lives entwined in the club's relentless rhythm. As dawn approached, the fragile equilibrium held for only a moment longer. Shadows lengthened, conversations thickened with implication, and the unspoken battles whispered anew beneath the surface. Jackson sensed that the next chapter of his tumultuous story was about to unfold, demanding courage he was not sure he possessed, but could no longer avoid. With every breath, the thin line between control and chaos blurred, carrying him forward into a future where only the strongest would endure. Предели доверия и выборы сердца. The truth about Jackson Creed's nights had always been a shadow looming at the edges of my world. When the whispers I had tried to ignore turned into undeniable facts, my heart trembled between disbelief and betrayal. Knowing that Jackson, the man I had shared hopes and secrets with, was the administrator of a strip club buzzing with 6 different girls, a single night was a painful awakening. It forced me to confront a reality I wasn't sure I was prepared for, where love tangled messily with the harshness of trust. Talia Rune had been my anchor through the storm. Her quiet strength was a counterweight to my unraveling emotions. She listened without judgment as I spilled the fragments of shattered certainty. "You deserve clarity," she insisted, her voice a balm that reminded me I wasn't alone. Talia's unwavering friendship became my shield, helping me sift through the mixed feelings of affection, anger, and profound disappointment that Jackson's world stirred in me. Evander Lux's presence was a surprise I hadn't anticipated. He was a friend of Jackson from the club, yet someone who radiated honesty and a refreshing kind of loyalty uncommon in that nocturnal realm. When I confided in him, his reactions were sincere, and he offered me insights into Jackson's life behind the scenes. Evander's unexpected kindness challenged my binary view of everything I believed about that world, compelling me to consider perspectives I had stubbornly refused to acknowledge. Meanwhile, Selene Voss, with her calculating charm and relentless ambition, hovered in the background like a storm ready to break. She was not just another face among the dancers, but a force that seemed intent on unraveling the fragile threads holding my relationship together. Her interactions with Jackson were laced with unspoken agendas, and every glance between them felt like a silent provocation. Cellini's presence was a constant reminder that the nightclub was a battleground of emotions and power where trust was scarce and stakes were high. Marcellus Quinn, Jackson's trusted assistant, played his part quietly yet significantly. Behind his calm exterior was a loyal confidant who was fiercely protective of the secrets he was entrusted with. Through him, I glimpsed the complexities of Jackson's position, a man caught between responsibility and temptation, yearning to maintain control over a world designed to entice and distract. Marcellus's steady demeanor made me wonder how much of Jackson's story was written in compromise and how much was genuine struggle. The nights at the club were a kaleidoscope of neon lights and whispered promises, with Callista Vane as one of the most enigmatic figures. She was one of the 6 girls who, night after night, wove around Jackson's life with a mix of rivalry and camaraderie. Callista's sharp intellect masked by a sultry exterior made her interactions with Jackson a delicate dance of power plays and vulnerability. Witnessing their dynamic forced me to confront the multifaceted nature of the relationships tangled in Jackson's world, far from the simple portraits I had once painted in my mind. In the shadows loomed Dorian Slate, the owner of the club, whose presence was felt rather than seen. His influence was a silent pulse behind every event, every decision that shaped the nocturnal kingdom Jackson managed so deftly. Dorian was a man who understood the game, manipulating the pieces on the board with a seasoned hand. Knowing that Jackson was navigating this complex web under Dorian's watchful eye added layers to my understanding of what Jackson's loyalty might have cost him and what sacrifices were quietly demanded. Deciding between following my heart and protecting my sense of self-worth became an agonizing path. Every warm memory tainted by the harsh reality threatened to pull me into despair. Yet, surrender was not an option. The strength I found within myself was surprising, a blooming resilience nurtured by the harsh lessons of love betrayed but not destroyed. I realized that holding on to illusions meant locking away my future, and sometimes love requires the courage to set oneself free. The emotional tide shifted when Evander took a step I hadn't expected. His actions went beyond friendship, offering both solace and a glimpse of different possibilities. It wasn't a simple replacement or an effortless escape, but rather a gesture that showed me that doors I thought closed might still open. Evander's sincerity rekindled a hope that love and trust could be rebuilt, even if scarred and imperfect, and that I could reclaim my narrative on my own terms. Meanwhile, Talia's constant support bolstered the shifting foundation beneath me. Her steady presence transformed doubt into determination, reminding me that friendships forged in fire are among the rarest treasures. She challenged me to embrace my truths, face the hurt head-on, and decide what kind of future I was willing to fight for. With her voice echoing in my heart, I found the courage to confront Jackson, determined to demand the honesty I deserved. When the confrontation finally came, it was charged with every fragmented emotion I had wrestled with. Jackson's responses revealed cracks in his carefully maintained facade, exposing conflicts between who he wanted to be and the roles he was forced to play. Our conversation was raw and unfiltered, an unintentional unveiling of the depth of compromises and regrets that neither of us had articulated before. It was a turning point, not just for our relationship, but for my journey towards self-discovery. As the night faded, I stood at a crossroads where every path was uncertain, but illuminated by truth. The choices ahead demanded that I redefine not only what love meant, but how I valued myself. Moving forward meant letting go of some dreams while holding on to the hope that new beginnings were possible. The world Jackson inhabited would always be a part of me, yet it no longer had to define me. The intricate dance of affection, betrayal, and healing that night revealed the fragile nature of trust and the power of choice. It showed me that sometimes the hardest battles are fought within, and victory lies not in clinging to what was, but in bravely stepping into what could be. The journey was far from over, but with each breath I took, I felt a little stronger, ready to write the next chapter freed from shadows and full of possibility. The dawn hinted at new stories waiting to unfold, beckoning me forward with quiet promise.